Hey folks, this is Ben Gessel. How's it going? So, I've always, as you guys know, I've always been very, very much sober-minded on my videos, with very few exceptions. Um, some particularly sober-minded. And I just, I don't know, I just want to talk with you guys. Yeah, it's been hot. It's been really hot. It's been hotter than it's ever been my entire life for a summer. On top of that, let me just that just gets the ball rolling a little bit. On top of that, as you guys know, I'm still not happy with where I'm living. I'm still definitely not happy with who I'm associating with in more of a social arena. I'm not happy with a lot of things. And but I am happy with many other things. And at least I'm for what it's worth, I'm able to keep a lot of the riffraff in the world away, which has its place, you know. So let's talk really quick about who I consider to be the riffraff. Well, you see, you think that's a very easy question to answer, but in another way, not always. I went from high school to Brigham Young University to my 2-year mission back to BYU. Learned I had Asperger's syndrome. My parents said, "You're coming home." I was skipping a lot of classes. Asperger's. And so, in case you guys are wondering, yeah, by the way, I still get the sarcastic. I'm picking up some autistic qualities. And I keep mentioning this for many of my videos. I make it no. There's really no. I'm not hiding anything. This is how I was when I was born. So I think it's completely spineless and stupid when people say that stuff. I'll call them on it every single time. Somebody say, "It's not worth my time to mention this." Well, actually, it is. It is worth my time because I'm not only just being like, you know what, these people are scum. They're scum. I don't care what else they're doing in their life or what else they think that they're doing that's right. They're scum. Who does stuff like that? Who goes after someone for something they have from birth they couldn't do anything about? And in my case, it actually has a lot of advantages that most other people don't have. I mean, seriously, man. And I'm kind of getting off the beaten track here a little bit. Where was I? Yeah. So I came home with my parents, stayed with my parents when I was in my very early 20s. Got my associate's degree done. That's all taken care of. Got a bachelor's degree, Central Washington. Then when I've been on my own after college, you see the world for how it is. Really, you see some of it in college, somewhat, somewhat, um, but riffraff. So when I went from BYU, obviously, to Tacoma Community College in Central Washington, those places, yeah, I definitely did not like that transition socially. But of course, there were great people at Tacoma Community College in Central Washington. I can mention a lot more about that if you guys want. And some of you guys might think that some of the stuff I've said has been a little bit anti-Mormon. What actually is much closer to the truth is that I'm just very frustrated with people in general. A lot of times. A lot of frustrations. That's really what's going on. My peers. It's my peers. Whoever I consider to be a peer. That's who I'm talking about. Folks that are older than me, it's a little bit different story. Depends on how old, of course. I tend to be still so much more like, okay, they're older. I need to be more respectful. That's always the general train of thought, at least my parents' generation, right? That's how I was when I was younger, at least. The older you get, the less, I guess, you see things quite that way. And then when you see younger folks, of course, they see you as the, yeah. Funny how that is. I think people read into that way too much sometimes, but you do get life experience. It's true. Just that some people, uh, misconceptions abound. I'll put it that way. So, yeah. So, keeping the riffraff at bay. What does that mean again? Well, and who is it? Who would I consider to be riffraff? How about, for starters, anybody that just acts like a jerk? Yeah, that covers a lot of behaviors. Obviously, if you just come up to somebody and just, kapow, right in the face, that's pretty bad. Who does that? Sometimes, usually people are more unstable that way. But just things like playing mind games with people, abusing their trust, and it has to be very purposeful. The more purposeful it is, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And of course, all the criminal behaviors, obviously, at least vast majority of them, at least. And then, evil. Is being a jerk and being evil the same thing? No. Being a jerk is more associated sometimes with just being very callous and rude and thoughtless and just, you're just, no, right? Being evil is often considered to be quite a bit more of a very noticeably, oh man, this person is the enemy of your soul. So I think we're talking about people that I don't want to be around. It generally falls more into that, obviously, the jerk or the riffraff arena, because honestly, who is evil? Really, truly, I mean, yeah, you see my point. So, but then there's always the question of what bothers. So we're all different about what bothers me more than somebody else. And would I be considered riffraff to some people? No. But some people have found me in the past to be not somebody they want to associate with very much. Oh yeah, I've gotten that, and it wasn't really, generally speaking, it wasn't really my fault. I didn't do anything wrong. If anything, I was probably just very brainy, very chatty, very excited to be around that person. This is me being very real with you guys. This is Asperger's syndrome. This is classic Ben Gussel here. I'm just letting you guys know when it comes to, especially women, but also men. Yeah, this is how it often goes. And so many women are completely clueless about this stuff. Maybe there's some that aren't. I'll grant you that. So I had no clue what somebody really thought of me. Very little. Those things don't come very naturally to me. It's taken a lifetime to try to develop at least the awareness I've had at this point now of what somebody actually thinks about me. A lifetime has not been easy to come by at all. And the less that I have social contact, real meaningful, deeper social contact with people, the harder it is to develop those kinds of skills. Especially during COVID-19, especially the life I have right now. These are things that people just conveniently don't really think about when they respond with stupid YouTube comments that are just ridiculous and stupid and trite. So that's riffraff, right? That's not evil. In all fairness, that's not evil. That's just the usual. That's what I've dealt with my entire life. Ever since I went to kindergarten, this kind of behaviors. It's like, what's Washington weather like? Usually, right? Usually it's overcast and rainy, or kind of drizzly. That's usually what it's like. That most people I talk to and interact with, they've been riffraffs type people, majority, at least somewhat. So I'm very familiar with riffraff. I'm not new to riffraff at all. I didn't grow up in Orem, Utah. I wasn't surrounded by members of the church, my church, that all of them were straight arrows. I wasn't surrounded by people that were always so super supportive of me, emotionally, spiritually, and socially. No, that's not me. My family was like that, but not Washington. That's the case with pretty much most everybody in Washington, whether or not they're Mormon or not. This is not a very principled state. This is a state full of people that like to do crazy stuff, that they don't want to be told to go to church. This is a very liberal state. I've lived here most of my life. Man, you need to move. Well, it's not quite that simple. Anyway, that's a different subject. But yeah, I know moving would be a big thing for my parents. I'll put it that way. Yeah, I know. Very close to my parents. So anyway, the thing is what else is on my mind? Just getting out and meeting more people. That's something we all want to do. I've had both my COVID shots. I wanted to live life while I'm still young. For crying out loud. So I wanted to mention that there's some kind of thing that my dad's involved with. My dad's an area authority in my church. Yeah, it's I wrote down the link. But it's let me see if I can pull it up for those of you guys who are LDS who are watching this. I know it's very dark. I know I probably can't see what I'm doing here. But I'll do my best. It's very dark. Excuse me, pardon me. 1 second here. That's better. Okay. This abundant life thing going on with my church. So it's register dot LDS dot hyphen or dash whatever sa.org. That's register dot LDS dot dash sa.org. It's free. It's from August 6th through 8th. And I guess it's open to LDS folks, but I don't know. It's like, I guess you have to go there, see if it's open to anybody else. Can't imagine it being just closed off to everybody else. Like, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know. But sometimes my dad was talking about this program, and I know I sound really cynical and sarcastic, and maybe I shouldn't be that way. But it just, maybe I'll explain a little bit more of what's going on here. My dad was talking about how, yes, Elder Bednar is going to talk. Sure, Elder Bednar, of course. Of course. If you're in the presence of an apostle, you're going to feel the Spirit. You're going to... It's just, wow. Yeah. I know. Okay, and then... Yes, if you guys are curious about that, the whole train of thought, we can talk about that. It's a very real thing. So then there's somebody from the First Presidency who's going to come down, talk at Sammamish building in Redmond. And then there's going to be some music by people that are, good musicians, but no, they don't have anything on me. I'll put it that way. The usual suspects. Yeah. Everybody I performed with Ensign Symphony Orchestra, basically. Yeah. Anyway, so then it's, let's see. We get to actually get to talk to people. Hopefully, maybe. Let's see what happens. Hopefully, yes. From British Columbia all the way down to California and Hawaii. They're all coming. So this is what I'm just throwing this out here, It's only for 3 days. It really should be my entire life. It should have been, I was always talking with people that I really wanted to talk to and date. But no. No, it's just 3 days. This is happening. This event. Because in real life, especially for a lot of us, we get treated like crap, more or less, by the world. And if it's not people saying this stuff to our face or something financial or something, this stuff comes from all different fronts. It comes just from people ignoring you, for crying out loud. Yeah, it could be that too. I would like it just to be a little longer, maybe just to meet more people, because that's the whole idea. But then I felt the same way about BYU. I felt the same way about a lot of things, like that. Again, I mentioned certain trains of thought before. Probably shouldn't go down that route because I get angrier, more depressed. But really, in all honesty, it's more of a call to action. But it's still very emotional and stressful for me, and it's very. But there's a lot of good things about it too. Maybe it's just my parents talking here, but honestly, there's a lot of good vibes that maybe you guys are picking up on rather than just the negative stuff. And I'm fully admitting that there are both good and negative vibes going on here. That I do want to meet people that are good people to meet. They don't have to be just Mormon. They can be Christian. They can be a lot of different things. As long as we click. As long as the girl loves me and I love her. Anyway, so, but yet, this primacy of meeting members of the church. So the thing is I'm just coming into this with the sneaky suspicion that a lot of people are going to be really freaking reserved and nervous and shy. Why? Because ever since I guess I was at BYU, that was the way that a lot of people in my church are around people that are peers. And then sometimes things work out, and sometimes not so much. And why are we that way? Because if we marry the wrong person, we're going to hell, or it's going to result in our eternal misery and all this stuff. I'm like, holy cow, man. It's life. People that say the two biggest things that determine happiness in life is that you get married in a temple and that you... something else, I can't remember what it was. Like, okay. Do you know how many people would read... I don't know, Elder McConkie. He's probably right. But do you know how many people would read something like that and say to themselves, I'm feeling judged here? I keep hearing this. It's not just the riffraff I talk to. Even riffraff that have master's degrees. They don't... PhDs for crying out loud. They can be riffraff too. It's not just those folks that are saying that stuff. It's like everybody. So many people, and it isn't just my church, it's other churches too, but when they hear that stuff, and they feel judged because they don't quite measure up, they think to themselves, what the heck, man? That's not Christ-like, that's judgmental. Just to take Joe Rogan's side, just to be in defense of Joe Rogan, this is why Joe Rogan doesn't really do church. Joe Rogan grew up as a Catholic, I guess. Well, I would say may not grow up. He spent some time in his younger years in the Catholic Church, and he definitely got out of there as soon as he could. Pretty much. Same deal with George Carlin. Both guys from the East Coast. Imagine that. Oh well. Italians and Irish. Italian, Irish, American culture. Sure. I get it. Most of us probably understand Catholic culture compared to Mormon culture. And they are different, but they are very similar. And the more that someone dwells in differences, it isn't always a bad thing, but, well, it's kind of stupid because when it comes to this, rather than get to know people and spend time with people, just, ugh. We want to just jump the gun and just, put labels on people. And we all do this. It doesn't, hey, you think, people say people with Asperger's do that stuff. No, everybody does that stuff. Most everybody. Most everyone does that. Did Jesus do that? I don't know. If he did ever do that, I certainly wouldn't call it a label. But, wow. Man, the man never sinned, man. Perfect. Just let that sink in for a bit. If you just believe that he's perfect, but whatever. So, we're all nervous about getting married. Because we don't want to marry the wrong person. It's like that England and Coley song. It's sad to belong to someone else when the right one comes along. Well, we can probably tell if someone isn't quite right. The problem is when we go for long periods of time without meeting anybody, really. Or we don't want to meet anybody. Or we're not really in a position where we can do that very easily, for whatever reason. And some people actually think that it's our fault when that happens. No, it's not. It's not that cut and dry. The biggest factors in happiness has to do with whether or not you're married in the temple and again, it's just life. You just try to deal with life as it comes. Good decisions, bad decisions, whatever they are. You all have to just deal with life. If you deal with life in a way that's more positive, and you try to be a better person every day, that's the general idea. But if you dwell on these things and you keep thinking, like you're feeling judged, I honestly, and I'm going to take Elder McConkey's side here. It's like, I'm not entirely sure that McConkey wants his, in the apostles, I would say something. I'm not sure the apostles would want someone to dwell on their thoughts they've mentioned that way. It just has to do with, it's hard to be really stinking good, but I think what's harder than being really stinking good is feeling like you are really happy socially. Especially if you have a number of different kinds of personalities. Well, there's a lot of different personalities that have a tougher time with this and other such things. But it's like you have a lot of these things about your life that make it very hard for you to have a number of people that you're close to. And life is harder that way. It just is. Now, maybe there's still some things about the Ten Commandments that are still pretty tough. Yeah, of course. But that's why so many of us are so shy. I've had some zingers that girls have told me on occasion about not wanting to get married. LDS girls, mind you. Yeah. Not too many of them were that way, but yeah. So I'm just asking myself, what's actually going to happen? What's actually going to happen? Really? And it's free. The thing is, the event is free. I like that. I don't like having to spend tons of money and then having a lot of people treat me like crap, or like I just don't exist, or like I'm just another body. And I understand there's going to be a ton of people there. That isn't necessarily where I really thrive, but the great thing about that is that at least there's a lot of people you can talk to and mingle with. There's always a question of, well, is there going to be somebody there that I maybe didn't quite totally, like would I be avoiding anybody for my own quirky, eccentric, emotional, anxious reasons? Yes, in all honesty, I would. Sure. It's not that person was a bad person. I just rather not talk to them. But if they wanted to talk to me, okay. Okay. Kind of depends on the person. For the most part, I think I'm pretty okay. I'm pretty good to go with people. Yeah. When you treat a woman with respect, they remember that. When you treat a woman with disrespect, that's when you truly feel shame. When you see that person again. If you have any sense of shame at all, by the way. And by the way, this is another one of the things that defines somebody who's a riffraff. Someone else who defines someone that's something else that defines someone who someone's that's the definition of someone I would say that someone who's like a riffraff type person or a jerk is someone who doesn't respect women. They don't have any respect for women. What does that mean? Well, does that mean like all those stupid like little rules that people in Provo have? No. It means trying to rape a woman. It means talking about sex in a very vulgar way around a woman. And by the way, when a woman does that same thing to a guy around a guy, that's also disrespectful. But especially anything that's sexual, you're going to take advantage of somebody. That's extremely bad. That's the definition of riffraff. Now, if most people say, "Oh, if she wants to have sex," then you get the whole chastity thing. But just understand, who I consider riffraff to be somebody who does not respect women. Being respectful, if someone is respectful of men or women, both, doesn't matter, both genders. But when someone is respectful, someone else, that person really can't be a riffraffy person. But that's out everybody, respectful of everybody. You know, it's something. By the way, with like bosses and things that I got, have not agreed with and like been had issues with in the past, I wouldn't necessarily consider them to be riffraff. But there's a difference between being someone who's riffraff and somebody who's has problems, just has problems. You know, I'm not saying one is better than the other, one is worse than the other. I'm just saying actually it could be, it's just that it's a whole different kind of deal. It's like one kind of person knows how to be respectful toward people, but still treats their employees like crap, but does it in a way that he can get away with it in whatever way, so. And then of course the riffraff, right? They have a lot less social acumen a lot of times. Not as much. It varies. But they're often not in those positions of management or leadership or power, political power, or whatever else. And so it's I kind of like describing the enlisted man, right? The enlisted Marine or the Army guy or whatever, the privates. The privates and the corporals, first class, whatever guys. All the enlisted people, all the enlisted guys, if they're not so nice, they're riffraff. The officers are the pricks, right? The ones that we don't like, right? They're the other type, And they could, one type, is vulgar and whatever. And the other type is just stinking evil because they have more power and they're manipulative, whatever. But yet they know all the right things to say to the right people, and they're both bad. But in one case, in the one case. You see what I'm trying to say. I'm going to have to make a part 2 or 3 of all this stuff. I'm just, I want to get some of this stuff off my chest before I write my cousin an email. Because I just think it'd be better that way. Don't you? So I just have high hopes for this thing that's happening clear out in August. And I don't know why we have to have so few of these. I don't know why things have to be the way they are. I don't know why people are the way they are. I'm sure you guys are great. The good things you do, keep doing them. Let's make a part 2 or 3 of this. Talk to you guys soon. Take care. Bye.